All right, welcome back with a quick little review here, this time for the final week of Western Europe's first tour. This is going to be excluding the tiebreakers, which should be taking place tomorrow. I'm going to be making a preview for that, so be on the lookout for that. There's going to be a lot of content coming out of my channel in the next few days as things get really busy heading into the first well, I won't call it a major, the new playoff format that's been introduced for the replacement of this major. And yeah, so starting off with this review, again, going through the matches of this week, starting off in the upper division, we had Tickles taking down Tundra in a very nice series. Tickles, with this win, secured themselves a spot in the top 4 guaranteed. They avoid the massive amount of tiebreakers they're going to need to take place in this upper division here. Following that, we had Nigma taking down Cool Guys. This was the conclusion of both of their tournaments, or both of their tours, I should say, and Nigma, again, just looking fantastic. After starting 0-3, they have won 4 consecutive series heading into this tiebreaker match. They are looking very good. Now, again, they beat Cool Guys, who to this point have struggled a lot in this region, but it was still a nice way to end off the season regardless. They showed that they were still very dominant and didn't really let up whatsoever. Following that, on January 18th, we had Liquid taking down Alliance in a closer series than I think a lot of people would have expected. Liquid looked very good in Game 1, and then Alliance snaps back with a fantastic win in Game 2. And then Game 3 was very close. It was kind of Liquid favorite throughout the most part. Alliance had a very nice team fight in the late game that kind of brought them back into it, kind of sort of swung the momentum back in their favor with the Nico Baby anti-mage. And then I think they were maybe feeling themselves a little bit too much, and they made a crucial mistake in the late game that ended up costing them not only this game, but the series as well. I know there's been a lot of drama that's been revolving around this series with the Kyle tweet and then the Nico Baby response, and now one of the managers at Alliance is also coming back at Kyle with it. I don't want to address the drama too much because at the end of the day, it's just drama. It's not really worth like covering at all, really. I just think it's kind of funny, honestly. But yeah, honestly, Alliance maybe did get a little bit too ahead of themselves. I'm not saying it's because of their reaction after winning Game 2 or whatnot, but they do make a crucial mistake after winning a nice team fight in a late game that does cost them the series. So at the end of the day, the relegation was guaranteed for them, so it's not like this was going to save them, but it would have been nice to take down the beasts of the region before heading into that lower division. Following that, we had Team Secret taking down Tickles. Secret, again, are really coming back into form as well. Struggling kind of the same way that Nigma was earlier on, although they didn't lose their first 3 series all consecutively. But they've had a real return to form. They've been looking fantastic. A nice win over Tickles. Again, a team that's been rather dominant in this region for this tour. So a nice win there. And then finally, just yesterday, we had our conclusion of the first tour, again, excluding those tiebreakers, where we had Tundra taking down OG2O. And Tundra, you could definitely tell, they even mentioned it in the post-game interview, that they were playing with a chip on their shoulder after that loss to Tickles earlier that week. And they took it out on OG, and they made themselves look very good. There were certain points in the games where maybe earlier on, it wasn't the cleanest Dota per se, but they knew what they were playing for. They knew what timings they were going for. They knew what their strategy was. And when they hit their timings, they dumpstered OG. This was a very one-sided series. And Tundra, again, playing very well. Taking a look at the standings now, which are pretty non-conclusive to this point. Again, tiebreakers are going to be needed to actually see the full picture here. But leading the way, we have Liquid, who is 6-1, and Tickles, who is 5-2. These guys are guaranteed to make it into the new playoff format for the replacement for the major. They will not need to be partaking in the massive amount of tiebreakers that are going to be held between OG, Tundra, Nigma, and Secret, who are all tied right now for 3rd place. Again, those should be starting on Friday. I think they said around noon for Western European time, which again, I'll be previewing later. And then finally, for the 2 teams that are relegated, we have Alliance, who finished 1-6, so close to being 2-5, but they're 1-6, and Cool Guys, who go 0-7 on the season. Again, struggling a lot. Having some highlights maybe in the middle part of the season, but ultimately it's been a real struggle for Cool Guys. Now taking a look at some stats, we have had 64 matches played in total in Western Europe's upper division, 25 of those being ready wins, 39 of them being Dire wins. A big part of that being because Dire has the last pick advantage in the draft, which currently is the more favored draft orientation. We have 26 wins for first pick and 38 for last pick. For top heroes, we have Marana, who is 5-0. Not a hero that's overly popular, but undefeated nonetheless. We then have OD, who's 9-1, who's made a real comeback in this patch. Was getting picked a little bit towards the start of the tour, has been getting picked a lot more towards the end of it, banned as well. And then Bane, who has been picked 32 times out of 64 games with a 75% win rate, 24 wins and 8 losses. very highly contested hero. I'm surprised it's not one of the most banned heroes considering how much success it's been having, especially in the fact that it's been being picked up in a lot of different regions. But yeah, we'll have to see. For worst heroes, we have Pangolier, who is 0-4. We have Io, who is 2-12. And finally, we have Hoodwink, who is 1-6. And for most banned, we have Io with 47. So Io being contested in 61 matches, despite only having 2 wins in those 14 games. We then have Beastmaster with 43 bans and Invoker with 32. For top teams now, when it comes to GPM, Tundra leads the way with 24.02. We then have OG with 23.43 and Liquid with 22.96. For top XPM, it's the same 3 teams again. We have Tundra with 3,021, very high. OG with 28.68 and Liquid with 27.74. And for top KDA, we have Tickles with a 4.47, OG with a 3.99, and Liquid with a 3.92. For top players now, GPM wise, we have Nisha again leading the way with 720. He's been having a fantastic season. We then have Miracle as well, who's been having a fantastic season with a 677 GPM. Notably, Enigma has only lost 1 series since Miracle's been back, and that was against OG, of course. And then finally, we have Yuragi, speaking of OG, with a 661 GPM. For XPM, we have Miracle with a 729 leading the way, 9 with a 704, and Yuragi with a 702. And for KDA, we have Boom with an 8.0, Yuragi with a 7.71, and Miracle with a 7.52. So yeah, again, kind of an inconclusive week. It did shape up to be what I was hoping it would be, where we have a mass amount of tiebreakers heading our way, which again are starting very soon. I'll have a preview for that coming up in just a little bit. Again, going to be very busy on my channel for the next few days. If you don't want to miss any of that stuff, like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And yeah, what do you guys think? Who do you think makes it out of these tiebreaker matches? From what I can tell, it's going to be a best of 1 round robin, where we're going to have every single team playing against every other team, which means 6 matches. And if that is still inconclusive, then we're going to be having another round of best of 1s. Who do you guys think wins? Personally, if I had to predict, and I ultimately think any of these teams could win, especially in a best of 1 format, which is, you know, the most hectic format there could be. I would say I'm hoping that it's going to be Nigma and Tundra. I think Tundra has had a real kind of rough tour so far, but they are still playing some really fantastic Dota, and when they're winning, they're looking dominant. But again, I could see this going either way. OG and Secret are fantastic teams as well. And again, with how well Secret's been playing as of late, they could easily make it into that top 2, but you guys can let me know. All right, moving on to the lower division now, where we have on January 15th, for our matches, of course, we have Ghost Frogs taking on Chillax. They beat them 2-0. Following that, on the 17th, of course, no Bounty Hunter, forfeiting the rest of their season, so Entity gets that free win there. We then have Chicken Fighters taking down Team Bald 2-0 for their finale of this tour. And then Brame yesterday taking down Into the Breach. A crucial series for Brame, as they would need to win that to stay in contention for that top 2 spot. Into the Breach making them work for it. Into the Breach also really needed that series win, as if they had gotten it, they would have avoided relegation, but now they're going to be having to play in some tiebreakers. Taking a look at our standings now, we have 3 teams leading the way. Again, both of these teams, all 3 of these teams getting a win this week, except Entity technically getting a forfeit win. They're all currently sitting at a 6-1 record, which means they're going to be tiebreakers to make it into the upper division, which is super exciting. Of course, Brame is looking to get back there after getting relegated in the last tour. Following that, in 4th place, we have Chillax and Bald, who are currently safe from relegation right now, who are 3-4 each. We then have Ghost Frogs and Breach, who again are going to have a tiebreaker matchup between those 2 as well. Loser gets relegated, the winner stays in the lower division. So again, Breach really hoping to win that series against Brame. They just weren't quite able to close it out. And then finally, again, no Bounty Hunter, 0-7, already relegated. They are disqualified from the DPC due to too many forfeits at this point. Looking at some stats now, there have been 57 matches played in total in Western Europe's lower division. 31 of those being Radiant wins, 26 on Dire, and 28 wins for first pick, 29 for last pick. For top heroes, we have Broodmother and Batrider, who have been 4-0. Broodmother making a very surprise comeback. I don't know if it came from the Chinese region. I would have to go back and look at some of the games that have been played, but it feels like ever since the start of the new year, we've been seeing Broodmother getting picked up a little bit more as a cheese pick, as opposed to back a few months ago around the Animajor, when the hero was a first pick or a first phase ban. So it's kind of nice to see that the hero is not as broken as it was. It's getting picked more of what it should be, which is a cheese hero, more towards the end of the draft, which again is what a cheese hero should be. In 2nd place, behind them, we have Tinker and Earth Spirit, who are 4-1, and then Invoker, who's 7-2. For worst heroes, we have Tree and Protector, who's 2-7. A little surprised to see that. We have Terrorblade and Pango, who are 2-5, and Dark Willow, who's 3-7. For most banned, we have Io with 42, Weaver with 31, and OD with 30. For top teams when it comes to GPM, we have Chicken Fighters leading the way with 2462. We then have Bane with 2274 and Entity with 2223. For top XPM, we have Entity leading the way with 2838. We then have Chicken Fighters with 2794 and Bane with 2704. And for top KDA, Entity leads the way with a 4.68, then Chicken Fighters with 4.34, and right behind them we have Bane with 4.33. And finally, for top players, we have Aqua from Chicken Fighters with a 6.86. He's been leading the way pretty much the entire tour, if I recall correctly. We then have Olnit with a 663 and Shad with a 654, who notably did not play in the last series yesterday between Bremen and Into the Breach, allegedly because he's getting some offers from some other teams to be playing for them, which is pretty exciting for me. Again, I'm all for roster shuffling. I'm very excited for that, and we'll have to see how it goes throughout the next few days. For XPM, we have Stormer leading the way with 739, Boranesia with 712, and Crystallis with 709. And for top KDA, Stormer with a 9.68. We then have Wish with an 8.6, and Boranesia with a 7.4. So yeah, pretty entertaining week. Again, a lot of tiebreakers, not only in the upper division, but the lower division as well. We have two separate ones, one for making it to the upper division, the other one for avoiding relegation. Let me know who you guys think is going to win that one as well. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Feel free to like, subscribe, share, all that fun stuff. Again, a lot of content coming out throughout the next few days, including today. I think I've got at least 2 more videos coming up today. So if you don't want to miss that, again, like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And I'll talk to you guys in a little bit.